Hi there, I'm Ulf at HoboRec. Today we're going to play around with the new microphone I just got. It's the Austrian Audio OC818. So I haven't used its microphone long enough to make a full-blown review, but there's one thing that I want to try since it has double outputs for the front and back of the capsule, which means that if we pan them left and right, we get a cardioid for left, cardioid for right. And if we combine them or collapse them to mono, we should get a somewhat more or less perfect omnidirectional perspective of the drum kit. And if that works as I intend, that means that we have like a pretty good stereo overview of the drum kit in stereo. But if there's a mono listening, we have a totally mono-compatible monosaurus as an overhead too. An omnidirectional microphone would be perfect as a mono overhead, and two cardioids. It's basically not the most common way to record overheads to have a cardioid pointing in that direction and another cardioid pointing that direction. But in theory, I think it would work pretty good since we don't have like a direct overhead pointing at the snare and other parts of the drum kit that has close-up microphones. So we will try it and see. Austrian Audio also has a couple of plugins that you can use to do stereo designing with just one microphone and also the polarity designing. And we're going to try it both with it and without it and see what we get. Since we're in the middle of recording new songs for Blackbirds, my new band that I have with my girlfriend who is sitting over there, I thought I'd just take the setup we have at home here in our kitchen and demonstrate it here. And I will just play a little beat and then we'll listen to it and see what we can do with it. I did some experimenting before this video to find a good spot to place the microphone, and it's relatively low. It's just above my head. Put it to be like an axe, chopping the drum kit in half. So I have the snare and kick in the middle, my hi-hat on my left and the ride on the right. Also, I needed to put the microphone in this dual output setting and put an extra cable in the back. So I have two outputs of the microphone, one for each side of the capsule, and then I capture it on two different channels on the Audient Evo 16 interface into Cubase. So yeah, here we are inside of Cubase. I have the close mics here in gray, overheads in orange, and then I have a copy of the overheads in green to show you some comparisons. I'm gonna get into it. So first here we have the overheads. It's the back and front of the capsule. So one is left and one is right. I'm gonna show what it sounds like. So basically we have one cardioid pointing in one direction and one cardioid going in the other direction. Yes, so as you can hear, we have a pretty good stereo image over the drum kit. It's not like super wide, but it's really good enough for me. I like this natural stereo field of the overhead. So you can clearly hear that you have the hi-hat on the hi-hat side and the ride on the right side, and the toms is going from left to right. And I don't have any processing on this. I have the stereo creator from Austrian Audio here on the inserts, but I'm going to play around with that later. And I have the stereo enhancer plugin from Steinberg, but I'm only having it to collapse the stereo field to mono. And the reason for that is what I'm going to show you right now. So when you collapse this to mono, you actually get one omnidirectional microphone. So this means that this is super, super good for having mono compatibility. And you have a stereo field that is completely in phase, so nothing will really screw up when you don't have the correct stereo field representation in the listening environment. So that's what I'm going to show you now, because this copied pair of overheads on here, I put Austrian Audio Polar Designer, and I set this one to omnidirectional. So basically we have an omnidirectional microphone over the drum kit here. So then if we go over to the original pair, we engage this stereo enhancer, which ironically enough makes it into mono. So you hear it sounds exactly the same. So when you collapse the stereo into mono, you just get an omnidirectional, which is a really, really good representation of the whole drum kit. And just to prove my point, we can listen to both of them. And as you saw, I have the copied pair in 180 degrees out of phase, so we should get cancellation. That's pretty cool, right? Let's get back to the main overhead pair and listen to what we have here together with the closed mics. To be honest, that sounds really, really good. So I'm actually considering using this technique in the future. And we can listen to what it sounds with the room mic as well. Since the room mic is mono, it doesn't really have a stereo field, so it might pull everything together a little bit, but we'll see. Still have a really significant stereo spread, so sounds really good. So now if we want to start dive a little bit deeper into what you can do with this microphone, we have the stereo creator, and right now it's set to what we already have, a pair of cardioid microphones. So one is going one direction, one is going the other direction. When you combine them, they make a pretty perfect omnidirectional microphone, and you can play around with this a little bit. Yeah, so if you hear, if we make both of them into supercardioid or hypercardioid, you get a little wider stereo image, or a softer mid maybe. Another cool thing is that you can put the microphone into a pseudo mono MS setup, which means we can pretty much soften everything that is in the middle, like the snare and kick drum, and a little bit take that out and leave more space for the close mics to fill that up. So we start here in the in an even setup. It should sound pretty much like the regular stereo setup. Yeah. So if I bypass the plugin, we just hear the dual. If I bypass the plugin, we only hear the dual cardioid setup, and now it's a pseudo MS setup. So what we can do here is to take down the mid gain, and yeah. So if we compare that to the regular dual cardioid setup, It's gonna feel wider. Also a little weird. But we have now space in the middle to leave room for the closed mics. So if we listen to all of it. So compared to the dual cardioid overhead setup together with the closed mics, it's a bit more narrow. And let's engage the pseudo MS setup. It's wider, and also the hi-hat and ride feels a little softer, which could be a good thing depending on the production. Yeah, so I really look forward to play around with this microphone more. It sounds really good on this source, so looking forward to try it on other sources too and give you a full review of the microphone and not only this specific case. If you want to, you can download the multi-tracks for this drum recording. Just check the links below. There's an email sign up and you will get the tracks and you can experiment by yourself. There's also links for the microphone. I used the Austrian Audio OC818 for the overheads. For the kick, I used Dr. Alien Smith kick drum microphone. Snares is the regular SM57. For the toms, I use Milab VM44s. And there is also a room microphone that I use that is Scope Labs, the Periscope microphone. So there will be links to everything in the description too. And as every time, thank you so much for sticking to the end of the video. If you're not a subscriber yet, please consider subscribing. Also leave comments or questions in the comment section below. I will make sure to be there and answer anything I can. And see you in the next one. Bye bye. Cheers.